Good morning. There was once an elderly lady that got on a bus, and she didn't exactly have the right amount to pay for the bus fare. The driver was giving her a hard time. She puts her hand on her chest, and she says, "If you knew what I had, you'd be a little nicer to me." So, whatever, fine, go in. And the bus is packed. She's trying to push her way through towards the back of the bus, and again, no one's moving for her. So she goes like this and says, "If you knew what I had, you'd get to go through." And somehow the path parted and she makes it through, and she's coming towards the end of the bus, and there's nowhere to sit. She's looking and looking. So she goes like this and murmurs under her breath, "If you had that, give me a place to sit."
Mm-hmm.
Someone gets up and gives her a seat. And as she's sitting down, a woman leans over. There's a fascinating story which doesn't get enough coverage. And that's at the end of this week's Parsha. What happened to the Yidden at Arnon. The streams of Arnon, the flowings of Arnon. The story is that as the Yidden were nearing the end of 40 years in the desert, they're getting closer to enter into Eretz Yisrael. The Amorites that were there at the time, other enemies, they said, "Look, the Yidden are going to have to pass through a certain pathway between two big mountains. And it's a narrow area. We're going to hide in these mountains. And in the mountains, there are clefts and intrusions and various different types of caves that are there. We'll hide inside. And as the Yidden start passing through, we'll attack them. Stones, with arrows, with various boulders, whatever else we could throw at them, we'll kill them. They have nowhere to go. We're on top, they're on bottom. They'll be done." And they planned this attack. Hashem made a miracle. And these mountains, they shifted. And the two mountains, they were so close to each other in the first place. Rashi tells us you could stand on one side and talk to a person that's on the other side. That's how narrow it was. You could have a conversation if you're like in one of the intrusions. And Hashem made a miracle that these two mountains came together, and the parts that were sticking out of one mountain inserted into the parts that were the openings or the caves of the other mountain, and everyone that was inside got crushed, killed, and their whole plan to destroy the Jewish people in such a brutal way was annulled. Now the thing is, the Yidden didn't know anything about this miracle. They had no idea. They didn't know about the plan to hurt them. They didn't know about the plan that there was going to be the end of their existence. They didn't know there was a miracle that mountains moved. That whole thing, they had no idea. And how did they find out? So later when they got to a well, which they found, they noticed that as the water was flowing, there was blood and there was limbs, and they came to the realization that there's a lot more to the story here. And finally figuring out that there was a nation that was waiting, trying to kill them. And mountains came together, and they stopped, and they sang Shira. They sang praise to Hashem at the well, thanking Hashem for this miracle. Now, Torah compares this, and Torah talks about it, or talk about what happened by the Nachal Arnon. And the question is, why is it special, if you will? Why is it compared to the Sea of the Sea? There, in general, you have 10 shiras, 10 praises that the Yidden sang for Hashem, or that were sung to Hashem. First one was by Adam HaRishon. Okay, when he was forgiven, the Shabbos began. He sang a shira to Hashem. The second one was Moshe Rabbeinu, by the splitting of the sea. As Yashar, we say it every day in davening. The third was the one that we have in this parsha, by the well, the incident of Arnon. Okay. The fourth one was sung by Moshe just before he was about to pass on. The fifth one by Yeshua, when the sun and the moon stood still in the battle of Givain. The sixth shira was by Dira and Barak, when they defeated Sisera. 7 was by Chana, when she had a child. The 8th was by Gad Melech, for the miracles that Hashem performed for him. And the 9th was by Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon. The 10th Nes, the 10th Shira, will be when Mashiach will come. So if you look at the story of the Yidden in the desert, where did they have Shira? When did they sing praise to Hashem? 2 times. Once by splitting of the sea, and once by this story of finding the well. And realizing what happened before, the miracle of the destruction of Arnon, of the Amorites, the story of Arnon. And the question is, why is this a story? There are many miracles that happened to us in the desert. Why is this the one that's compared to Kriyas Yamsuf, splitting of the sea? Why is this the one that gets Shira, gets praise? Now, Kriyas Yamsuf makes sense. Okay, Hashem split the sea. We were stuck with the Egyptians behind us. We were saved. Okay, we're thanking Hashem. But there are many other things that happened that we didn't thank Hashem for. We didn't praise Hashem at that level. The F.R.E.E. lived from 1696. I mistakenly said yesterday 1500s. 1696 to 1743. Same time as the Baal Shem Tov. Actually says that the Baal Shem Tov wanted to go so much to Eretz Yisrael. Didn't work out, but if he would have went to Eretz Yisrael and him and the Rechaim HaKadosh were there at the same time, Mashiach would have came. But be it as it may, the Rechaim has an explanation. And he says, what's the significance of this shira, this praise about this miracle? Realize what happened. Praise for to water. And this was a praise at the well. They speak about the well and the praise, and this is this really they're saying that we had this gift called Torah, and Torah is compared to water. At the center above, it nourishes, it's our life, and so on. That's the idea of water. So Torah is compared to water. He uses this term. The Yidden use this term when they sing to Hashem. Also explains how come we never thank Hashem for the Torah. We praise Hashem for many different things. We have a special shira for it. Why not receiving the Torah? It's the greatest gift. Hashem gave us Torah. It's obviously our life. And we don't have a praise after Matan Torah. Thank you for the Torah. We don't have it. Which, by the way, the other Midrashim, notwithstanding what the Rechaim says, which also talk about why they didn't praise Hashem for the mun. Right? This food was coming down from Shayim in a miraculous way for so many years. Praise Hashem, the mun. That's basic human necessity. So the water at the end of 40 years, you found the well. It's a miracle to find the well. It's not but it's not like it's less or more important than having the mun. And why are they waiting so long? And the Medrash says, because the reason why they didn't sing Shira, praise for the mun, is because the mun was with Taroimes. They complained regarding the mun. They said, we're dried out, all we have is mun. They didn't look at the mun always with the most gratifying way. They should have, they didn't always. And because of that, they weren't going to say Shira and praise Hashem to this level when there's complaints involved there as well. Okay, but we still have a question. Why does this Shira of Arnon get such status that it has one of the 10 Shirim, one of the 10 Shiras, the praises, the songs that are being sung, thanking Hashem? This is one of them. Okay, it's a big miracle, but it's not. Why does it stand out on that to that level? So if you say according to the Rechaim, fine. They're not talking about that. It's really a hint to receiving the Torah. But nonetheless, from the simple pshat, that they praised Hashem finding the well and the miracles that happened leading up to that is still requires explanation why we have Shira for this. But to understand the comparison between this or the similarity between the miracle of Arnon, the streams of Arnon, and splitting of the sea, to recognize the splitting of the sea. Why is it such a great miracle? Because there was a change in nature, in the very content of what water is. Okay, an ocean, a sea, water flows. And when you have it waiting, when you have it standing up, Hashem is changing nature in a very, very strong way.
It's even more amazing. The water in our bodies didn't split.
Oh, very good. It's even more amazing because the water in our bodies didn't split. Okay.
We're 98% water.
Okay. Very good. So the concept here is that there was a change, a reversal of nature and a fundamental element of nature. So it's not that Hashem caused something to not to happen a certain way, or the course of action should have led to B, and instead it led to C, which are miracles. But the miracle of Yam Suf, of splitting of the sea, is categorized as such, of reversing the components of nature in a very, very strong way. Not only that, but the moment that the Mitzrayim came in, the Egyptians were in, and the last Jew was out, it switched back. So it goes on to its own level of miracle because of that change within nature. But if you go deeper, there's another component here, and that is that when it came to splitting of the sea, unlike other miracles, the Yidden didn't have to do anything. They just sat back, relaxed, and Hashem caused everything else to happen. Let's look at Amalek, for example. For the war of Amalek, which was a major miracle, okay, the Yidden were not equipped to fight this battle. They weren't ready for this type of battle. Amalek had a tremendous hatred, and they were here to break that spell, if you will, that the nations of the world are scared of touching the Jewish people. And the Yidden defeated them. It was a great miracle. But they had to go to war. And it was a difficult battle. And Moshe was on a mountain, and his arms had to be held up, and at certain points of the battle, they weren't winning. It was very difficult. Okay? Amalek knew various different things of Kishuf and other stuff, and they specifically set all their soldiers to go to battle on the day that it was their birthday, and the birthday Mazali Geiver. So they had a lot of help, if you will, from the spiritual sense, that they won't die in battle. It was difficult. It was a difficult war. And the Jewish people really had to fight. They won, and it was a miracle, no question. But it's not the same as Kriyas Yamsuf, where the sea split. Okay, what does it say about Kriyas Yamsuf? Hashem tells Moshe to tell the Yidden, Hashem yilochem lachem. Hashem will fight for you. V'atem tacharishon. You're going to be quiet. Don't just don't worry. Hashem is taking care of everything. Trust me. It's a very different type of miracle. Even the mun, by the way, they had to do something for the money. You had to go and collect it, depending on who you were. If you were a tzaddik, it was right outside your door. If you were not, you had to go further. Wicked people had to go even further out and prepare it and grind it and make it. It wasn't automatic. Again, great miracle. But if you compare this to splitting of the sea, that's a ness which deserves shir on a higher level, because that's a miracle that is Hashem's doing without our involvement at all, without even our basic effort where we're trying or we're putting one foot forward. Well, we have to put a foot forward, we have to trust that Hashem and go through, but as far as the miracle taking place, Hashem did it for us. Okay? Now, Arnon was just like the sea. Did the Yidden have to fight with their enemies? They didn't even know about the enemies. They weren't having a battle with them. Okay? It's such a level where not only does Hashem not have our involvement in this miracle, but we're not even privy to the knowledge that there's a problem. It's one thing a person has an issue. Let's look at it as three categories. Okay? Person has a problem. Amalek is fighting with us. We go out and we have a war. And Hashem causes a miracle, and our efforts are successful, and we win. We defeat them. Great miracle. There's another level of Kriyas Yamsuf where we say, Hashem, help us, we're stuck. And Hashem says, don't even call out to me. Just be quiet, and everything will fall into place. Miracle. And great miracle, reversing nature. And then you have a third level, and that's Arnon, where not only do we not have to do anything, we don't even know that there's a problem. We're not even afraid or worried. What are we going to do here? How's this going to happen? It's completely taken care for us without any type of involvement even on our part. Now, why did Hashem cause us to know? There's a saying, Maimer Chazal, Nasata pas li'imai If you gave bread to a child, let his mother know that you gave him bread. Okay? So there is a concept that when a miracle takes place, when something special transpires, that the knowledge is there that it happened. Okay? So let's go back a second just to clarify. The greatness of this nes, of this miracle, and why it gets this shira is because it was done without the Yidden's involvement, just like Yam Suf, and in a sense greater because we didn't even know about it initially while it was happening. It's like Hashem has you covered. Just do your thing. I'll take care of everything. You don't even have to have the worry. You don't even have to deal with it. It's all taken care of. And that's why it has that level that it gets that shira, that praise, that comparison to Kriyas Yamsuf, and it has one of the 9 praises, one of the 9 songs, right up there with Kriyas Yamsuf and Adam Shira, Meisha Shira, Chana Shira, David Melech, Sheva Melech, and so on. One of the reasons why, if you gave a child bread, tell the mother, is because you want the mother, or the mother wants to tell her child, to recognize that somebody helped you. If someone goes through a situation, you were saved by someone, helped by somebody, you should recognize and know or keep in mind to be able to either repay them or thank them or express appreciation for it. So it's important that a person should know who helped them or what was done to them. So obviously higher levels of tzedakah, you don't know who helped you, you don't know who you helped. But in a general sense, when something positive was done for you, you want the opportunity to thank the person. I don't mean shameful or whatever else. Okay? You want to thank them. So Hashem wanted to make sure that they either know about this so that they could thank Hashem. But more than thanking Hashem, there's a very important thing here. The Eibishter wants Yidden to know. We have to remember that the whole process of being in the desert was preparation, was chinuch, it was education, it was training for us to live as Yidden, right? We're coming from Mitzrayim, we're going to Eretz Yisrael, and this 40-year process, we're receiving the Torah, we're inculcating emunah in Hashem, and so on. Part of that emunah, part of that belief and bitachon, trust in Hashem, is Hashem is taking care of everything for you. Okay? And there are many stages of that. There's when a Yid faces, God forbid, a challenge, and he doesn't know what's going to be. He has to have faith in Hashem. And there are examples of that in the desert where Hashem helped us. But then there's even more than that. A person has to know that everything that's going on in our lives, Hashem is taking care of it. To the extent that we don't even know about certain attacks, like this case of Arnon, where the enemies are in mountains, hiding, whatever else, Hashem is taking care of it. There's way more than we see or know in our lives, whether it's in the physical sense or some kind of spiritual sense, that Hashem is watching out for us and protecting us and making sure that nothing happens. That's a level of trust that we have to have. And Hashem is letting the Yidden know about it after to tell them there's more things that you don't know about. Trust me. Having trust is very, very important. The bitachon in Hashem, it's tied to so many fundamental aspects of Yiddishkeit, of our life as a Yid. It's a tried and tested formula that helps us overcome trying and challenging times. When a person has a bitachon in Hashem. I want to share a few letters of the Rebbe which talk about it. This particular letter is from a Holocaust survivor. He survived the camps. He came to America, and he wrote to the Rebbe, I don't know how many years later, but he wrote to the Rebbe that he has a difficult problem with his health and parnasa. Him and his wife, how are they going to eat? Where's the food going to come from? And business is not going well. And he was concerned, and he wrote to the Rebbe about it. The Rebbe wrote back that I'm surprised at your style of writing, because you personally experienced Hashem's hand. The fact that you're alive today and that you're here and you survived the horrors of the war, the camps and so on, is a miracle. And now you're faced with something which requires less of a miracle. And the way that you're writing and the worry that you have, it's surprising, because where's your trust in Hashem? Where's your faith that it's going to turn out good? And Hashem, the Rebbe tells him, I'm not here to give you musr, right? I'm not here to criticize you or to put you down. And the Mishnah says, don't judge your friend until you get to his place. The Rebbe writes this in the letter. So I'm not judging you, but I'm surprised. And I'm telling you that the more you'll have bitachon in Hashem and the stronger your trust will be, the quicker you'll see the salvation. So the Rebbe is writing to this person, number one, I'm surprised because look at your own life. You saw so many miracles already. Have some trust. And number two, the more trust you have and the stronger your faith in Hashem will be positively, that everything will work out, the quicker your salvation is going to come. So it's so important to have that trust in Hashem. Another letter, Rabbi writes, in response to your letter, that your situation of parnasa, of livelihood, is not the way it's supposed to be, and you owe people money, you're in debt. The end of your letter does not have joy in it. It's a nice way of saying you're very sad. And it's contradictory to the beginning of your letter, where you wrote things that happened to you, and you mentioned, miraculously you survived, you're basically the only one of your family that's alive. And think about it, if Hashem was able to save you and help you build a family, get married and have children and so on, do you think that the one that provides, Hashem, that provides food for the entire existence, can help you with your food? Will help you. And don't worry. Okay? So the idea basically is of having faith in Hashem. And these two letters are, I think they're both Holocaust survivors, and it's about Parnasa. But there's another interesting letter. The Rebbe writes to somebody about nervousness. He's very nervous. Okay? And he tells him that it's Kedai, that Rebbe writes, that you should learn some chapters of Shara B'Tochen of Chevas Halavavis. Okay? And that sefer deals with trust in Hashem, having proper faith. And it'll help you for your physical nervousness. You're nervous, learn about B'Tochen. Learn also the parts of Tanya, he says in Chassidus, that talk about this idea. For example, in Tanya, Geras HaKodesh, Siman Chaf Hey, there are places where we talk about these things, because if you would believe that everything comes from Hashem, you wouldn't be nervous. Okay, Hashem will give everything that they need. I want to say it in English. The paths to receive Hashem's blessing and everything necessary are well known, and they are clear roads that anyone can take with confidence. Accordingly, there's nothing to be nervous or apprehensive about. Basically, have faith, have bitachon, trust Hashem. Anyone could do it. Learn the things that you need to learn to help you. Work on that. Right? It's not easy. You have to think about miracles that happened to you in the past. Remember that the faith and trust is what brings these nisim. Think about this great shira from our parsha about miracles that happened even without their knowledge that there was even an issue, and that Hashem takes care. The Rebbe connects this in yet another letter about the requirement that we have to see ourselves as going out of Mitzrayim. Okay, we have to view ourselves as if we went out of Mitzrayim every day. Part of going out of Mitzrayim, what happened? We had three things. It's alluded to in our parsha, right? We had man that came from heaven. That was our food. It was a miracle. We had water from the Be'er Shel Miriam, a traveling stone, which was a well that we drank from until she passed away. And then it came back in the schos of Moshe. And then we had the clouds of glory that protected us, was shelter, and took care of our clothing. It ironed out our clothing and so on. Made sure it didn't get worn out. All these tremendous things, that's part of our feeling that we went out of Mitzrayim, is to appreciate that on a daily basis, that Hashem will take care of everything that we have. When you have that faith, it brings miracles. It brings nisim. I want to share a very powerful story. There was a yid once, who, a very poor man, lived in a shtetl, and his job was, he would take his horse and buggy and go out and collect sand and bring it back to the town. And he would sell it in the next town or whatever. People would use it for their flooring. Basically, in your house, it was mud. There wasn't proper flooring. So if you wanted to make it a little nicer, you would pour out sand or fresh earth onto the floor. It was just a nicer thing for living. People would pay for it. So he had this horse. He was very poor. His horse was not fed very well, and his wagon was, crickety. And he would go and travel to this outskirts wherever he went, and get this sand, get this earth, and he would sell it. But one day he wakes up very early, as he always did, to go to his job, to go to his thing. And he sees that the horse was stolen. Overnight, someone came, took the horse and the buggy and ran away. So now he has nothing. He has no means even to go and try to get the sand to be able to sell. Anyway, he decided he's going to put his trust in Hashem fully. And he sits down with a Gemara, he starts to learn. His wife wakes up. His children wake up. What happened? You didn't go to work today? He said, no. Unfortunately, there's no horse and no wagon. Someone stole it. He's like, oh, really? Someone stole it? How are we going to survive? How are we going to have food? What are we going to do? And he said, we're going to trust in Hashem. Hashem will definitely help us. He's not going to forsake us. He's our Father in heaven. God will help. And that's what he did. Anyway, it was harder for his wife and children than it was for him. He tried to convince them and encourage them that Hashem will help. Meanwhile, this thief took the horse and buggy and he went to that place to gather sand or whatever else. And he wasn't used to this type of work, and it's heavy and it's hard and you have to put it in. And he didn't know that this wagon is not the greatest wagon and the horse is not the strongest horse. And you can't pull it up fully. And he's doing his thing. And in middle, as he's digging, he comes across this treasure. It's a box. As he's digging, a box. And he opens it up and he sees it's a treasure. So he puts the treasure onto the wagon. And then he says, wait, how am I going to do that? People are going to see it. I got to cover it with more dirt. So he goes back to dig more. And as he's digging, something fell on him and killed him. And no one was there. No one knew where he was. And this poor horse is hungry. And it's waiting. And it has a heavy load. And the guy's not coming. Ever. And the horse starts to slowly, barely making it, schlepping this wagon back to what it knows. Okay? Its house. Where it lives. And it was already deep into the night. And they hear like this familiar sound of the wheels turning. And the squeaking, crickety wagon. And the father wakes up. Could this be? He runs out. And he sees it's the horse and wagon. And it has everything on it. It's like, oh, poor thing. It's so heavy. And he takes off some of the sand to ease the load. And he sees this treasure. Turns to his children and he says, you see, trust in Hashem is key. I had no idea where it would come from, but I did know that Hashem will help. And the message from this parsha, one of the many powerful messages, is that Hashem takes care of everything. And sometimes you don't even know that there's a challenge that he thwarted, an issue that he solved, a problem that he helped. That we have the trust and always be happy and positive in Hashem.
Wow. Thank you.